Hey everyone, good morning and welcome to this episode of MC Commute starring Suzuki's 2025 GSX-S1000 liter class naked bike. Let's go. All right everyone, there it is, Suzuki's 2025 GSX-S1000 liter class naked bike. This is a liter class naked bike from Suzuki out of Hamamatsu, Japan. It was last major overhauled for the 2022 model year. For 2025, it sees a new color TFT dash, which we'll see in a minute. This thing's powered by Suzuki's tried and true 999cc water-cooled dual overhead cam 16 valve equipped inline 4 engine. This engine was from the 2005 generation GSX-R1000. Now obviously Suzuki didn't pull this engine from its warehouse from 2005 and just stick it in this bike. It has re-engineered a lot of the parts and there's new manufacturing techniques, but the architecture remains the same. It has a cable actuated clutch with slipper function that puts power back to that rear wheel via 6-speed transmission with an electronic quick shifter on the up and down shifts. Well folks, enough talking about this thing. It really looks awesome. Let's ride it and see what it's like to ride. Right away, sitting on this motorcycle is crazy comfortable. In typical Suzuki fashion, the seat is nice and broad and really plush, and it's really well supported and apt for logging miles on the street. The handlebar has a lot of rearward sweep towards the rider. I wouldn't say necessarily it's a bad thing. Usually motorcycles with a lot of rearward sweep mean they're generally really comfortable for distance riding, for just putting miles on. You got to think about it when the handlebar is closer to the rider. It just adds comfort. Conversely, if you have a handlebar farther away from the rider, more flat, it's more aggressive, fists in the air. So it's definitely a little bit more conservative bar bend than we'd like for a liter class naked bike, but all in all, it's still very comfortable and good for logging miles. The foot controls on this motorcycle, they are certainly not too low, but they're not too high either, and it's a really comfortable riding position, if a little bit conservative in terms of handlebar bend, but it still is really good for riding in the corners and stuff like that, which we'll find out in a little bit. This motorcycle is powered by a 999cc water-cooled inline 4 engine, 16 valve cylinder head, dual overhead camshafts, that has a conventional firing order. This engine was pulled from Suzuki's 2005 generation GSX-R1000. Obviously, Suzuki didn't just pull this engine from the crate. Back then, it has re-engineered a lot of the parts, and this engine benefits from new manufacturing techniques, but the architecture remains the same. We have a cable-actuated wet clutch with slipper function, so if you downshift in too low of a gear for vehicle speed travel, the rear wheel will not lock up. We also have a 6-speed transmission with an electronic auto blip downshifter and electronic upshifter. That allows for full throttle upshifts and the ability to downshift without using the clutch. We really like that feature. Suzuki has done a really good job with electronic quick shifters. They're some of the slickest quick shifters out on the market, just like the Suzuki Hayabusa. That one has a nice quick shifter as well. Now, this engine is good for nearly 140 horsepower at the business end of that 190 series Dunlop Road Sport 2 tire. These Road Sport 2 tires are certainly not our favorite, and one of the upgrades we would make immediately on this motorcycle if it was ours. Now, in terms of torque, this motorcycle makes upwards of 70 pound-feet of torque. It has a really pleasing engine character. It's got a nice engine and exhaust note. Usually Japanese motorcycles, people don't really notice their engine exhaust notes, but this motorcycle has a real nice guttural growl, as you can hear right there. It's really playful and fun to ride, and it makes a good amount of low and mid-range torque. It's certainly not the fastest liter bike out there, but it's certainly not the slowest either, and it's very fun to ride. There's a reason why the 2005 Suzuki GSX-R1000 engine was legendary status, just because it's really well-rounded, has good character, smooth power delivery. Now, this motorcycle is loaded with all the bells and whistles. We have Suzuki's tried and true SDMS Suzuki Drive Mode Select system, which allows you to modify the combined engine power and throttle mode maps. Right now we're riding in A mode. That is the most amount of engine power, which we like. However, if you were someone who is more new to riding, perhaps maybe B mode or even C mode would be good for you. Oh, I love that clutch. Oh yeah, geez, getting carried away here. This engine likes to rev and likes to rep. Really nice character. I would love to see what this thing sounded like with a street legal aftermarket exhaust, I bet this thing would just bark. Back to SDMS, so if you want to change the power modes to make the motorcycle a little bit more easy to ride, a little bit less snap when you twist the throttle, you can do that, and you can do it on the fly. Other electronic countermeasures this vehicle has is adjustable traction control, which you can see right here. TC1, that's the least amount of traction control minus off. So we have that through 5. It's worth mentioning that this traction control system is non-IMU powered. It is an older style traction control system, but it still gets the job done. It's cool that Suzuki offers some form of traction control on this bike. This bike's also equipped with fixed always-on ABS that you cannot disable, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Now, we've been averaging 36 miles per gallon the way we ride this motorcycle. That's usually always the fuel economy we get on these GSX-R type engines, 36 miles per gallon. If you can be a little bit easier on the throttle, keep the speeds lower, you're going to get closer to 40 miles per gallon. But heck, this is a fun motorcycle. It's got nice bark and growl, so we're going to ride it with the throttle open. And when you do that, you're going to get 36 miles per gallon. It's nice to know that Suzuki's fitted a generous 5-gallon capacity fuel tank on this vehicle. Gives you plenty of range. You don't see a lot of naked bikes with 5-gallon capacity fuel tanks, so good job, Suzuki. The more fuel, the better. Really like how this vehicle meshes between each of its 6 forward cogs. Really nice shift feel, real precise. Suzuki usually always gets its close ratio transmissions right. They always feel real precise. Good job, Suzuki.
Well, folks, so far so good on Suzuki's 2025 GSX-S1000 liter class naked bike. This bike's a hoot, and not only is it fun to ride, look how good it looks, especially in this colorway. If there's one thing Suzuki usually gets right, it's its colorways and its bold new graphics, and this 2025 GSX-S1000 liter class naked bike certainly doesn't disappoint. Let's get back in the saddle and continue our ride.
All right, everyone, that was a fun little break on our GSX-S1000 liter class naked bike ride. Where were we? Oh yes, the color TFT dash. This is a new feature for the 2025 model year. This color TFT dash replaces the Game Boy-like monochrome display, which worked okay, but in today's day and age, you need color TFT. They're not even that expensive to engineer, so all motorcycles should just have them. This color TFT is really nice because the fonts are in line with Suzuki's rest of Suzuki's motorcycles. A lot of motorcycle manufacturers and automobile manufacturers have good synergy in terms of their font package between all of their products. BMW Motorrad does a great job of that, and now Suzuki follows in the trend, so all the fonts on this vehicle match the fonts that Suzuki uses on all of its products all around the world. Very nice, cool attention to detail from Suzuki Motor out of Hamamatsu, Japan. The screen's very legible, the fonts are nice and crisp, and this is easy to digest all the information you want at a glance. We have this display set up for a black background with white numbers, dark mode if you will. That's how we set up all of our products, and it's really nice. Of course, if you want to have it opposite and have a white background with black fonts, you can do that in the menu navigation system with the switch gear here. The switch gear, I like this big button. It's decently chunky, but the tactile feel isn't the best. It's not the worst. Definitely ridden motorcycles with worse tactile function, but that could be improved. It'd also be nice if Suzuki backlit this feature. A lot of motorcycle manufacturers are backlighting their switchgear. Suzuki, let's join that club. Step up with the big leagues. Still, I do like this display. We've got our odometer, battery voltage, range, so 86 miles left on that fuel tank, and our MPGs, which we're getting right now, 41. So if you ride this thing in a tall gear with the throttle cracked, you're going to get good gas mileage, but if you ride her WFO, 36 miles per gallon. Now, this motorcycle rolls on 17-inch cast aluminum wheels, the full tank of gas. This motorcycle weighs 472 pounds. Certainly not the lightest liter class naked bike out there, but at the same time too, you'd be amazed at how agile this motorcycle is. It's not the most agile, but the handling is very neutral. It's really easy to get a good feel for this bike. We also like the way it feels in the turns. Obviously, on this slow road, we're not going to be able to ride this bike like we normally do, but trust us, this motorcycle offers really good sport aptitude and handling. This KYB suspension, it is fully adjustable, independent spring preload, independent compression and rebound damping adjustment. A lot of front suspension systems are going to a lower spec single function setup, which is cool because it's lighter, but it's also cheaper, and in our opinion, you always want to have dual damping adjustment. So independent damping, that makes a big difference, and you have that on this KYB equipped fork. 4.7 inches of travel. This bike has really good sporty handling, and the damping is very versatile. So you can be riding on a street road like this, and it'll still go over the bumps really well and deliver a comfortable ride. And then when you up the pace in the corners, the bike still has good road holding and good suspension action. It doesn't get all weeble wobbly and weak. Suzuki did a really good job engineering the handling dynamic on this motorcycle. Much better, in fact, than European motorcycles that we've ridden. Good job, Suzuki. Out back, we have a linkage-equipped KYB shock with spring preload and compression and rebound damping adjustment with just over 5 inches of suspension travel. The steering's not the sharpest on this bike, but once you get it leaned, it definitely goes around turns well. Again, the only real handling bugaboo on this motorcycle is the OE fitted Dunlop Sportmax Road Sport 2 tires. We would ditch those things and throw on something a little bit more aggressive. But still, today's modern sport touring tires are really good, and you could probably shoe on those and have a good time as well. You don't need a hardcore Sportmax Q5 Plus tire. Of course, you could use that. That tire would be awesome, but you don't necessarily need it. Really do like the cockpit of this motorcycle. It's very comfortable for long miles. Obviously, we're riding a naked bike, so there's no front fairing to block the wind. If you're going to be riding on the freeway, that's going to be one thing that's going to annoy you, is you're going to be blasted by wind. That's just a typical feature of a naked bike. But still, the cockpit's very comfortable. All right, folks, let's give her the berries. Yes! Bull got a little wheelie out of the thing. We're going to keep the speeds low today, guys. 55 miles per hour. So, this thing definitely goes. Good acceleration. There's a Harley Davidson dude. I wonder if he's jealous of our GSX-S1000 liter class naked bike. I bet he is. We talked about the engine, how playful it is. Another strong point of this engine is it doesn't have excessive vibration. There definitely is vibration. You feel the vibration through the foot pegs and a little bit in the handlebar. Not so much in the seat, but definitely in the foot pegs. That's the where you feel the most of engine vibration. But it certainly isn't overpowering. Yet at the same time, the engine vibration is one area where this engine shows its age. Other inline 4 engines that are more modern usually have a little bit less engine vibration. I wouldn't say the amount of engine vibration on this motorcycle is off-putting, but it definitely is one area where this engine shows its age in terms of engine vibration. Now, this motorcycle does not come equipped with heated grips or cruise control. Those would be awesome features, obviously, but that would also raise the MSRP. You have to remember, this motorcycle comes in $11,909 for the 2025 model year in the United States, and that represents pretty dang good value. You get a liter class naked bike for under 12 grand. I don't think that's such a bad thing at all. We talked about the engine vibration. The engine vibration certainly isn't overpowering. It's not too much to cloud the effective view of these rear view mirrors. I like these mirrors. They do a good job of showing what's behind us. And yeah, there's a little bit buzz to them, but it's certainly not bad. This thing rides over the bumps really, really well. It delivers a comfortable ride. You'd be hard pressed to find a more comfortable liter class naked bike than this 2025 GSX-S1000. It's crazy comfortable for a naked bike. You could ride this thing most of the day. If it had a fairing on it, a front fairing, then we could really log the miles. But still, considering its style, really like that stacked LED headlight. Parts of the bike look a little bit old, like the twin spar aluminum frame and the gull-shaped swing arm. That looks a little bit old, but again, we've been seeing that chassis for 20 years now. But then the sharpness of the radiator shrouds, the stacked headlight, all that stuff looks nice and modern. I'd say it's a pretty good looking bike, especially in this specific colorway that we're riding today. Now this motorcycle also benefits from full LED lighting, stacked LED headlights, LED turn signals, and an LED tail light. We're not going to be able to operate this vehicle after dark, so we can't comment on the performance of the headlight, but rest assured it is LED design, so it's going to work a lot more effectively than a halogen bulb setup. Now we talked about this color TFT display. Another benefit of this display is the ability to pair your iOS or Android powered smartphone with Suzuki's My Spin app. That's Suzuki's proprietary smartphone app that allows you to access features of the motorcycle. One of the features we really like is the turn-by-turn navigation. So with the Suzuki My Spin app downloaded and paired to your smartphone, you can get turn-by-turn directions right on this display. Very similar to what BMW Motorrad offers with this BMW Motorrad connected app. Really slick. Yes, you have to use the app for navigation. You can't just use Google Maps or Apple Maps, which kind of isn't the best, but still it's cool to have turn-by-turn navigation right on the display. Sometimes when you're using Bluetooth communication systems, it can be hard to hear, especially at freeway speeds. So having that visual call out of when you need to take a left or a right really helps.
Well, everyone, that was a fun ride on Suzuki's 2025 GSX-S1000 liter class naked bike. This bike's a hoot. The engine's got really good power, it's torquey, it's playful. The engine vibration definitely makes the engine show its age, but it's certainly not excessive. For a 472-pound bike, this motorcycle is decently agile. And although our roads were a little bit boring that we rode today, this thing has some good sport aptitude. It'll surprise you with how versatile and how sporty the handling is of this bike. Which brings us to the price, $11,909 of this bike. It is a pretty good value. It looks cool, it handles well, it has a lot of modern features like adjustable combined engine power and throttle maps, traction control, fixed always on ABS, and it looks cool in this blue silver sword colorway. Well, everyone, that wraps up our official MC Commute on this 2025 GSX-S 1000 liter class naked bike. We'll see you in the next episode.